Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top five are correct, then make predictions for next week's top five. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number one would be Black Adam, number two would be One Piece film Red, number three would be Ticket to Paradise, number four would be The Banshees of Inisherin, and number five would be Armageddon Time. And I got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right. I was on a good roll with the top three. I got those correct, but the bottom two I had once again putting too much faith in the award season films that are expanding, just not expanding enough for people to see them enough to be pushed into the top five. Armageddon Time, I'm just going to tell you real quick, got into number 12, didn't even get into the top 10, but I wanted to give it a brief shout out since I tried to predict it and it, didn't make the mark. It made $810,000 this weekend on a budget of $15 million, so not very good. Some of you in the comments though, actually a lot of you were smarter than me. Inisherin and Armageddon Time weren't even in a lot of your predictions, but only a few of you did get the entire lineup correct. So here are your shout outs right now for those who did get it right. Congrats, way smarter than me. Hopefully next weekend, because it's very, very easy. Hopefully everyone will get a shout out, you know what I mean? Unless one of these movies gets like a surprise expanded release or something like that, but I'm pretty sure it should be easy. Anyways, let's go over what actually happened in the top 10. Number one, Black Adam. It's the number one movie around the world for the third time in a row. It made $18 million this weekend. That's only like about a 30% drop from where it was last weekend. It's holding over pretty solidly. That adds to a domestic total of $137 million. Let's go over all the other ranks so far. First up, I want to mention the Wame Colette Sarah one. It is now outgrossed Jungle Cruise by $21 million, so it is now Wame Colette Sarah's highest grossing film domestically and worldwide, which we, mentioned last week, and it still had a ways to go domestically, but worldwide it was already there. But now, all around, this is Wame Colette Sarah's highest grossing film. Congrats, dude. I really hope that with this money, with this clout, he's able to just fund another, bizarre horror movie like Orphan. You know what I mean? Because that is, that's his movie, in case some of you don't know. He made the movie Orphan back in, I believe, 2009. And that's a bonkers, bizarre movie, and I hope, similar to how James Wan made $1 billion off of Aquaman and then made Malignant, which is super fun and just a batshit insane idea for a movie that no studio would greenlight these days unless you have that kind of clout. I hope that Wame kind of does a similar thing and doesn't get trapped with the blockbuster machine that he has now found himself in. But speaking of Jungle Cruise, going over to The Rock's filmography domestically, it has outgrossed Jungle Cruise by obviously the same amount, $21 million. It has also outgrossed Central Intelligence by $10 million, G.I. Joe 2 by 15, The Other Guys by 18 million, and Get Smart by 7. Domestically, it still needs 18 million until it outgrosses San Andreas, and then, that's another notch up in the Dwayne The Rock Johnson filmography ranking. Worldwide, it is 15 million over Skyscraper and 1 million over Journey 2, and it needs 56 million more until it outgrosses G.I. Joe Retaliation. So, domestically, it's still outgrossing a lot of those other ones that are kind of similarly hanging around 150 million, stuff like that, because a lot of the Rock movies, kind of get to that point and then kind of stop, and then worldwide you have some that, rise above, and then others that are really big. And right now, worldwide, it's kind of getting to that point, sitting at 319 million, by the way. I don't think I said that part yet. It got to 319 million worldwide. So yay, congrats, dude. They still need 71 million until they double that $195 million budget, but obviously they will be getting that either next weekend or the weekend after. But if I'm a betting man, I would place most of my bets on next weekend. If you want to look at how it's doing DC wise, it still needs 44 million until it outgrosses Shazam worldwide, so a bit ways to go. It'll probably do that next weekend, but domestically it needs 3 million until it does that, so soon it will be outgrossing Shazam and making a considerable amount more money than Shazam did in that theatrical run. So I mean, that's great obviously for the future of DC, for the interest of these characters and all that. I just kind of wish that this was a better movie though. But let's move on. This movie, I have nothing else to add to this. It's doing great, whatever. Let's move on to number 2, which is One Piece film Red, making $9 million, adding to a worldwide total of $159 million. I am so happy that I got this prediction right, because I was I don't see it anywhere. And then I looked on Fandango and saw that it was showing not just at my local Regal, but also AMC. So I was okay, new anime film, and especially One Piece. This will definitely do well. Do not do what you usually do and forget to mention it at all, you know? So I'm very happy with myself for predicting it and getting this prediction right, at least. I'm not sure what the budget is, but obviously, you know, these movies make so much money. I'm sure that it's already profitable in some ways. I don't really have any other kind of information to add to this piece. You know, it's doing well. It's doing well. So let's move on to number 3, which is Ticket to Paradise, another movie that is doing surprisingly well. I've been mentioning it the last couple weeks. I don't want to, you know, repeat myself, sound like a broken record, but, you know, it's doing solid, very solid, considering the kind of movie it is. It made $8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $46 million. Worldwide, though, it is at $140 million. That's $20 million over its doubling point for the $60 million budget. It needs $40 million more until it triples it, and I'm not sure if it will get there. Maybe if it continues to have, you know, a good kind of staying power, if it gets an unexpected boost in another worldwide territory, maybe. But still, either way, this is doing very well, you know. I keep looking at the director's previous film, and there's only one movie in that director's filmography to really compare it to, which is Mamma Mia 2. So the slow countdown of, will it outgross Mamma Mia 2? It won't, but it's just fun to throw in other stats. It needs $74 million more until it outgrosses Mamma Mia 2 domestically, and worldwide it needs $259 million. So once again, like there's still no way it's gonna do that, you know. And this isn't the don't get me wrong, this isn't the kind of surprise where I'm like, well, maybe it could, you know, maybe it could outgross Mamma Mia 2. It's getting so much money from all different places. It's like, no, it's not like that, you know. But it's, you know, for the kind of movie it is, for the kind of landscape we're in, where rom-coms are kind of dead or going to streaming, this is still pretty good. But like I said, I talk about this enough. So let's move on to number 4, which is Smile. So fucking proud of this movie. Made $3.9 million, which adds to a domestic total of $99 million. Now, it still needs $24 million until it outgrosses Nope, and then it's, you know, the highest grossing horror film domestically. But as I mentioned last weekend, worldwide it already is, and now its total is sitting at $202 million. It has crossed over $200 million worldwide. That is, and off of a budget of $17 million, no less. That's doubled, that's tripled, that's quadrupled, that's, oh my god, that's so much over that budget. That's amazing, you know? I'm surprised that I don't want a sequel to this, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be like franchised unless, you know, the creator, Parker Finn really has like a great idea and wants to do it, you know what I mean? But I honestly, I just want to hear an announcement that Parker Finn has like carte blanche over Paramount players, that they're just like, okay, whatever you want to do next, dude, horror, you know, rom-com or action, whatever you want to do, dude, you know, we're lining you up, you know, the next original thing. I just, you know, this movie just makes me so happy as far as like, this is that example, you know, that I've been wanting to see of just an original movie thriving in this landscape where it seems like the only way you can be successful is if you're based off of something, you know, or you're following up another thing. I'm just very happy that this movie, you know, just by good old word of mouth and just, you know, genuine quality, it's doing very well. And I want to see more of that. So please give Parker Finn some more work. I want to see news of that now that you've crossed over this amazing achievement. Number 5 is not having the same kind of luck. Pray for the Devil, making $3.8 million, adding to a domestic total of $13 million. I still don't have a production budget for this thing, but I do have a worldwide total. It's just $15 million, so not much of a boost. If the budget is low, like if I'm gonna guesstimate like what the lowest this movie could cost is, like maybe 10 million at the least, maybe. It's 5 million away from doubling that. But I'm thinking it couldn't be any cheaper than that, and still it's not doing great, you know. It's really hard to speculate when you don't have, and obviously even when you have like official numbers, sometimes that can be smudged a little bit, you know. Sometimes you think something is a success, but it actually isn't if you look at certain things that weren't available to you. You know, so much of this, even though stats are here, so much of it can also be a guessing game as well. Sorry to make it sound so complicated, but I don't think this movie is doing that great. Sorry, whoever released this. Was it Lionsgate? I think it was Lionsgate. Apologies to them, unless they didn't release this, but I'm pretty sure they did. Let's move on to number 6, which is Lio Lio Crocodile, which also isn't doing great, but at least it's doing a little better than Pray for the Devil, and this is also not Lionsgate, it is Sony for sure. It made 3.3 million, adding to a domestic total of 36 million, and worldwide it is sitting at 63 million dollars. Domestically, it needs 18 million until it outgrosses the director's previous film, Office Christmas Party. Worldwide, it needs 52 million to do that. Both of them are like slim chance at this point. Like domestically is a small enough number where if it was holding over well, you might go like, oh, maybe. But I mean, if it was holding over well, it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? It would have probably already outgrossed it at this point. So, it'd be a little bit closer. So, I did notice or at least it seemed like it to me, it got like some kind of boost worldwide. It did like a little bit more of a jump than I was expecting. Or that could just be me. Like, I have not cared about Lyle Lyle Crocodile for like a week. And then I look at the stat like, that seems higher than I remember. So it could be that. There's not much to say. Let's move on to number 7, which is the Banshees of Inisherin, which I predicted for number 4, and I got wrong. It made $2 million this weekend, which adds to a domestic total of $3 million. Like I think I said previously, it's been out in limited release for a bit, and it, expanded to other theaters. And my theater that I saw it in was pretty packed, but I guess, not a big enough theater and not enough show times to maybe boost it up even more, get it the attention it deserves in the top 5. Whatever. It needs $4 million until it outgrosses In Bruges, which is one of Martin McDonagh's previous films. Worldwide, it is sitting at $10 million, though, on a budget of $15 million, no less. So I think, especially with award season and considering how much the billboards picked up when that really got awards attention during that season, I think this movie will definitely at some point, double that budget and be considered a success. Worldwide, it is sitting at $10 million, and that is $23 million until it outgrosses Seven Psychopaths, which is the next film in line for Martin McDonagh's filmography. So this will be one to watch, maybe not right the second, though, weeks to come. Moving on to number 8, which is Till, which might be the same deal, except, and Banshees of Inisherin, is kind of dramatic. It's very funny, but it is kind of dramatic too. Till is just, nothing but drama, so slightly different as far as the comparison goes, but that you can see that movie potentially getting picked up in traction a little bit more once award season gets kicked off, because I can't see a world where the main actress in that doesn't get nominated for something. That would be like the one thing. If it was to get one nomination, this movie, it would definitely be her performance. But it made $1.8 million this weekend, which adds to a domestic total of $6.5 million. I still don't have a budget for this thing. Like I was kind of saying with Pray for the Devil, the lowest I can maybe go is like $10 million, but I wouldn't be surprised. And honestly, I'm kind of expecting a little bit more in that budget, because this wasn't a cheap movie, unless they're saving and their production value or whatever was really that good. But even as I said last weekend, like it's not doing great financially, but kind of expected. I think even people making this movie, releasing the movie, are kind of like, yeah, I kind of saw this coming, that people might be, too disturbed or, in pain of the idea of it. Even if you don't see the violence, there's still just the idea, that is disturbing. It's hard to argue against that. I do wish more people would go out and support it, obviously. And so it could be considered a financial success, but, you can't blame people if they're like genuinely hurt, because this is a terrible thing that happened in real life. The least you can do at that point is to actually educate yourself on it if you somehow have not heard. Anyways, moving on to number 9, which is Halloween Ends, making $1.4 million. God, it's really like just occurring to me right now as I'm reading this out, what a drop. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of floating around the top 5 for a bit for Halloween season, and then just plummets to bottom of the list, probably gone next weekend, who knows. Like that's insane. It adds to a domestic total of $63 million, $3 million until it doubles that $33 million budget. Good on them. It still needs $29 million to outgross Halloween Kills, the previous film in this trilogy, and it needs $18 million until it outgrosses this year's Scream to advance in the 2022 horror ranking. Worldwide, it is sitting at $102 million, so congrats to them. They crossed over a $100 million threshold. It still needs $28 million to outgross Halloween Kills at that point, and $36 million to outgross Scream. So just to go back to a better movie real quick, Smile, I'm just so happy that Smile literally has like 100 million more than this movie worldwide, and it is so much more deserved. If I could donate some of Halloween Ends' profits to Smile, to the people's profits who only went to see Halloween and not Smile, if I could take their money and just give it to Smile anyways, I would, because it's that much more deserving. Anyways, let's close out the video with number 10, Terrifier 2. I heard a thing saying that this might be the last time it's here. And obviously, you know, if you see a movie at the number 10 spot, it's like, oh, well, duh. But this movie has had such a great hold in the bottom, you know. It's a movie that I don't believe got up to, you know, the heights of like the top 5. I don't think it ever slipped in there, but it got pretty close. You know, it's always like in the bottom 5, but it's still holding very well. And for a movie that cost $250,000, you know, the money it's making is, you know, astounding. It made $1.2 million this weekend, which adds to a domestic total of $9.8 million. So very close to getting to $10 million, but worldwide, there is actually some worldwide totals now. It is up to 10 million. So it has already passed that threshold. It is, oh my God, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that this movie did so well. And obviously, yes, it's not the 200 million that Smile has, but for the low budget that this movie had, for the low chances this movie had, even compared to Smile, of, you know, getting the audience and the attention that it did, this is an achievement. And if this really is the last time it's here, I'm just, you know, my hat is off to the creative team, everybody involved, and to Art the Clown himself. What a fucking legend. Anyways, guys, now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Number 1, easy, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Then number 2, I'm going with Black Adam. Number 3, One Piece film Red. Number 4, Ticket to Paradise. And number 5, Smile. Like I said, I don't think there's any surprise movies that are going to be like expanding or just released all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, by the way, this movie is supposed to come out. I'm pretty sure it's just Black Panther. That is kind of the way these things go now, is that you have a big movie coming and other movies kind of steer clear. But just putting that disclaimer out there, you know what I mean? Anyways, what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.